The first shipment of US military aid arrives to Kiev amid surging tensions at the border. Russia sends planes to Belarus for joint exercises. Former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has announced he will not run for Italy's presidency, ending his candidacy 2 days ahead of the vote in Rome. Friedrich Merz has been elected the new leader of the Christian Democrats, promising a new start to the German Conservatives, now on opposition. Sweden sees thousands of protesters against COVID vaccine passports. In Russia, a new record number of infections as Spain battles its sixth wave.
An initiative that began in Italy 20 years ago, called New Hope, continues to help migrant women work in a tailor's shop.
US military aircraft with lethal weapons have been arriving to Kiev. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Ukraine this week, with President Biden promising €175 million in military aid to Ukraine, amid soaring fears of an alleged Russian invasion. Ukraine's foreign minister has accused Germany of undermining unity among the country's allies after Berlin's refusal to send them arms. Ukrainian forces have said they're ready for any eventual aggression from across the border. We have special reserves prepared for this, and this territory is equipped with surveillance cameras. We will be able to see any early signs of an attack and then warn the armed forces, who will send defensive support. But Russia has further upped the ante by announcing more military drills in the region, with footage released by the Russian military showing fighter jets being sent to neighboring Belarus, adding to an estimated 100,000 troops deployed near Ukraine's borders. Russian military units have moved to areas near the Belarusian southern border, a mere 75 kilometers away from Kiev. Former Italian Premier Silvio Berlusconi has announced he will not run for Italy's presidency, ending his candidacy 2 days before voting begins in Rome. The 85-year-old billionaire has been campaigning behind the scenes for weeks to replace outgoing President Sergio Mattarella. I'm taking off the mask to wish all of the Italian people a happy Christmas. The leading candidate for the presidency remains the current Prime Minister Mario Draghi, the former European Central Bank chief who's led Italy's national unity government for the last year. Members of the Electoral College, which compromises 1,000 MPs, senators and regional representatives, will begin voting on Monday afternoon for the new president. According to the Italian constitution, in the first 3 rounds, the winning candidate must secure at least 2/3 of the vote. Friedrich Merz has been elected the new leader of the Christian Democrats Party in Germany. At the Federal Party conference, held digitally, Merz got almost 95% of the votes. Now heading the biggest opposition party in the Bundestag, Merz will likely create challenges to the current coalition under Chancellor Olaf Scholz.
Lieber Paul,
I accept this election result. I am deeply moved by the result.
Und ich bin tief bewegt
Many thanks.
und beeindruckt von diesem Wahlergebnis.
Friedrich Merz has failed twice in taking the leadership of the party in the past. The first time after the withdrawal of Angela Merkel, and the second one against Armin Laschet. Speaking ahead of the vote, Mr. Merz said this party had experienced turbulent times over the past 3 years, but vowed to make his election a new start. Sweden, where vaccine certificates are required for indoor events with more than 50 people, saw thousands of demonstrators march through central Stockholm in a protest organized by the Freedom Movement. Police had warned that right-wing extremists might take part in the protests, which were largely peaceful. Daily infection cases continue to rise in Russia for a second consecutive day, with more than 57,000 new cases on Saturday. An independent website that tracks vaccinations estimates that only 9 million people have received a booster shot, out of nearly 22 who qualify for one in Russia. In Spain, new positive tests have risen sharply after 3 consecutive days of decline, reaching a new high and putting doctors on high alert as the country battles its 6th wave of COVID-19. The national level of COVID casualties is around 10% of the entire population registered with the social security system. Almost 2 years since the coronavirus first hit, Spain is preparing to treat the next infection surge not as an emergency, but as an illness that is here to stay.
There was a small protest of Afghan citizens in Oslo ahead of the Taliban's visit to the Norwegian capital on Sunday. They're against the delegation meeting with Norwegian authorities and representatives from the international community for talks. It's the first visit to the West since they took control of Kabul in August. The Taliban is on the blacklist for terrorists in the United States. So why should we invite and negotiate with them? Discussions on girls' education and women's rights will be top of the agenda. It does not in any way imply any recognition of the coup that took place. We will make strong demands on the Taliban, but we don't know if they will implement them afterwards. Since the hardline Islamists took power, girls' education stopped in some parts of the country, but last week they said it should begin again by March. The Islamic Emirate has taken steps to meet the demands of the Western world, and we hope to strengthen our relations through diplomatic ways with all countries, including the European countries and the West in general, and to transform the atmosphere of war which we had previously into a peaceful situation. The Norwegian authorities have stressed this visit is not a legitimisation of the Taliban. Meanwhile, the visitors will no doubt demand the release of the frozen $10 billion.
A 75-year-old Frenchman who was attempting to row across the Atlantic has been found dead in his dinghy just off the Azores. The body of Jean-Jacques Savin was in the vessel's cabin, but his team said they don't yet know the exact circumstances of the tragedy. The sailor made a name for himself by crossing the Atlantic in 2019, pushed by currents in a barrow.
It's gold for Dave Riding as he becomes the first ever British winner in the Alpine Skiing World Cup. The historic win sees the 35-year-old ending a 55-year wait for victory for Britain at the race. He's also the oldest winner of the Men's World Cup slalom. The champion has just been selected to represent GB at his 4th Winter Olympics.
New Hope is the name of this tailor shop at the heart of Caserta, south of Italy, where 8 women of different origin and backgrounds work together to give themselves the chance of being independent and live their lives freely. It started almost 20 years ago as a way to give migrant women, mainly of African origin, the chance to set free from the legacy of human trafficking and start a new life.
Thanks to an order of 1,000 bags from the regional administration in 2004, we had the strength and courage to invest what we'd earned in order to give the girls the possibility to keep dreaming through this tailor shop.
Today, this tailor shop has opened its doors to all women who want to take control of their own lives. They've put their past behind them. What matters now is what they do here, now.
Every product here, everything they are doing, take all of them talks about something. There's a message, send it to other people. There's hope, there's experience, many things they are trying to explain to people.
From the darkness of their past to the colors of a new life. For these women, this fabric is not only a way of earning their living, but it also represents a tangible sign of their liberation from oppressive conditions.
We want to be an example. Women are strong enough to pursue their dreams, to be the protagonist of their own life and their family life, not only as mothers and wives, but also as independent women with their own job.
Each product in this shop tells the story of a woman who believes in the chance of starting a new life, whether they are migrants or Italians.
I chose to resign from the marketing agency I was working for and came here to work in this cooperative. I made this choice with my heart, because it's nice to see the smiles back on these women's faces when they can take their lives back through their work.
A story behind each product, quality and beauty reflecting the dignity of work. This is the New Hope Tailor's Shop. Luca Palamara for Euronews, Caserta.